to the first episode of the Speakeasy Health podcast, where we speak about hormone health topics in an easy way. I'm Rocsi, a certified nutritionist and hormone health coach, and my mission is to empower women with the right knowledge and tools to make informed decisions in their hormone healing journey. I am excited to welcome every woman and every person that has a menstrual cycle or a womb to this podcast. You will hear me referring to my clients and to people I speak about as women. But please be aware that this includes every single woman who menstruates or every single person who menstruates and or has a womb. During this podcast, we will focus on topics such as periods, adrenal health, thyroid health, but also gut health and many derivatives of these topics. So if you've been waiting for a podcast that takes an integrative approach over healing hormonal imbalances and that helps you develop truly a deeper understanding of what's going on with your body, then you are in the right place. In addition to talking about several topics that I mentioned earlier, we'll also be talking about case studies that I've done from clients that I've worked with to understand a bit deeper how people actually heal using this integrative approach. And at times, I also aim to bring guest experts to go into more detail over particular topics. Given that the purpose of this podcast is to help you guys and support you in your health journey, I welcome comments on topics that you would want me to speak about. So please don't shy away from leaving your opinion in the comments. Since this is the first episode of my podcast, I want to start by sharing a bit about my hormonal healing journey and what brought me here to where I am today. My journey to heal started when I was in my early 20s, but my symptoms actually started when I was a teenager. When I first got my period, it was excruciating, irregular, and not a lot of it. It was very confusing to me what was happening. After 2 years of pain and suffering, I decided that I will take my first visit to the OBGYN. And he found some cysts on my ovaries, and then he decided that the best course of action was for me to start the pill. Once I started the pill, everything just went away. Everything. No symptoms, no pain, a regular cycle, a good flow, no trips to the ER anymore, nothing, no PMS, nothing. My moods were okay, my acne was gone, my painful periods were gone. After being on the birth control for quite a few years, I started noticing that my anxiety symptoms were becoming quite bad, and I started developing something after 2 years, which is panic attacks. I would get these horrible feelings of not being able to breathe. Something was always pressing on my chest, and I just couldn't get a hold of myself. Where was this pain coming from? It seemed like there was no solution to it, and it was just something new that I had to cope with. In no way I could link this to taking the birth control pill and that ruining my gut and that impairing my moods and that distorting my sense of reality. I had no idea that that was even a thing. So I don't even know, this deep intuition, this deep sensation and feeling was telling me, get off the birth control pill, because I still had cysts, the pain was coming back, the acne was flaring up, my gut symptoms were starting to emerge, so I was bloated all the time, I was unhappy all the time, so gut and mood symptoms. I could not maintain any relationships. It feels like I was so explosive, and I would just start crying out of nowhere that people just didn't know how to handle me and knew how to be around me. So that kind of raised a few signs of concerns, because as I was getting out of my teenage years and into my early adult years and getting into a corporate job, it was becoming quite unmanageable. So after 5 years on the birth control pill, I decided to quit it and then start tackling my symptoms as they came. And after the birth control pill, my cycles were excruciatingly painful. I gained 10 kilograms in the span of 3 months, and the weight kept on coming. Although I was eating very little, I was not having a great relationship with food. I was always afraid of food. I kind of like reminiscent from when I was a teenager and I developed an eating disorder. So all in all, I wasn't really healthy. I wasn't in a good place, but at least I was off the birth control pill. And only after I was off the birth control pill for a couple of years and I was starting to understand that my panic attacks were coming from the pill, my gut symptoms were coming as a result of the pill, my painful periods came back because, well, I didn't really give my body a chance to create that connection between my brain and my ovaries. So it kind of made sense, you know, like things started making sense. What didn't make sense was, why do I keep getting this ovarian cyst? Why do I have anovulatory cycles? Why am I having so many cramps every single month, and why I'm bloated all the time? All these questions were like really bugging me. I was still feeling anxious, but not as much as when I was on the pills, so that was getting better. So it was clear to me that I was on the right path. So I then discovered the concept of a root cause, and this has been a pillar in my approach to any of the work that I do with my clients. There's always a reason why something is happening, and that is what we have to start tackling first. Not the symptoms that you have, we can manage those, but without tackling the root cause, those symptoms are going to keep on coming back, and sometimes they're going to get worse and stronger over time if we don't do anything to understand what is causing them. And that led me on a path of understanding where my ovarian cysts are coming from, because doctors have been telling me that that's the reason why I have painful periods. So long story short, my cysts were getting eliminated every few months with my cycle, but they kept coming back. And I understood that that was the case because I was not ovulating. No one was able to tell me why I was not ovulating. I didn't have PCOS, and at that point I had done a surgery to take out a dermoid cyst, and that was about 16 or 17 centimeters that could not be taken out laparoscopically, because it was just the clinic that I went to didn't have the technology, and they decided to do a C-section-like surgery for simplification reasons to take it out. So that was causing a lot of my painful cycles, but at that point I was still not told why am I getting this very many cysts on my ovaries, because it wasn't PCOS. PCOS, by the way, is not cysts on your ovaries, is underdeveloped follicles, but that is a lesson for another time. I was very curious, and I was becoming more and more curious how I can use nutrition to support my health and to support my symptoms and my pain. And finally, I found a doctor that was willing to do some tests that are not really usually done on people that were my age back then, which was on my thyroid, because from my readings and from my research, I realized that this weight gain and the fatigue and tiredness and exhaustion and possibly anovulatory cycles, which were causing the cyst, were potentially because of a thyroid issue. And so I went and I got myself tested. I found someone that was willing to test me, not just for my T3 and T4, but for the full thyroid panel. And I'm going to link a resource here, my education platform. It's a free membership for everyone that wants to learn about their hormones. Every woman that has had an issue in the past with her hormones, that wants to learn how to start tackling them, that is a free resource, and you can join and stay for as long as you want. And it has things such as thyroid tests, it has lessons on gut health, it has a lot of other women that are going through the same thing that you are doing. So feel free to join if you want to feel like you belong in a place and you can finally speak to a community that understands. I will leave the link in the description of this video. After I managed to do my thyroid tests, I discovered that I had a thyroid autoimmune condition. With that in mind, I started researching what can I do naturally, because I refused to go on levothyroxine, which is the medicine that everyone gets when they start having an underactive thyroid and weight gain problems and fatigue and dark circles around their eyes and anovulatory cycles. But my main problem with my diagnosis was that everyone was telling me, oh, you should start taking levothyroxine and get on the birth control pill until you want to have kids. And when you want to have kids, just get off it for like just a little portion of time to have the kid and then get back on it. To me, that was unsustainable. First of all, it was not necessarily something that I had thought of at 21 years old or 22. And I was not really in a financial position to even start thinking about having children, if ever I ever wanted that. That never crossed my mind. So this approach to me did not sit well. And so I went and I got my diploma in nutrition. I became a certified nutritionist by the Association of Nutrition of UK, and that gave me a lot of answers and opened a lot of doors for me to start to understand how to use diet and nutrition to my advantage. And so one thing that you should know about autoimmune conditions is that there's three components. You must have a genetic predisposition, and you must have a exposure to environmental toxins, which pretty much everyone nowadays has, but also, and most importantly, something that you can genuinely do something about is the state of your gut health is compromised. 70% of your immune system resides in the gut, and if that is destroyed, then you're most likely at predisposed to be getting an autoimmune condition. So I knew with all my gut symptoms, I knew with everything that I had gone through when it came to my gut and my eating disorder and having taken the pill, that there was something going on with my gut. So I knew that that was the place for me to start, and that's what I did. I healed my gut, and then I healed my autoimmune condition. And to me, it's always been crazy that we prefer to stuff people full of medicine just to put a patch on the problem. It would be so much better for women worldwide to understand that the better way to approach hormonal imbalances is by not necessarily giving immediately a pill, but by start looking at someone's nutrition and understand if that is correct. And if that is correct, it actually allows you to look into other directions and do so until you find the root cause of the problem. And that is my approach. That is how I managed to heal myself. That is the approach that I take with my clients. That is the approach that I incorporated in my membership. That is the approach that I teach all my friends about. And that is what is working. Looking at the root cause and trying to understand what the underlying problem to everything that you're experiencing hormone-wise is. If you want to learn more about how your hormonal imbalances and gut symptoms are connected, check out my next video where I'm going to be talking you through a case study that I've done with my client that shows how missing on leveraging the power of nutrition can hold you back in your hormonal healing journey, but most importantly, what can you do about it?